Hi sir, our report is about how should we manage and sustain parks and nature reserves. National parks face many environment threats. There are now more than 6,600 major national parks located in more than 120 countries. Most of these parks are too small to sustain many large animal species, suffer from invasion by harmful non-native species that compete with and reduce the population of native species. Part is less developed countries have the greatest biodiversity of the world park but only 1% of this parkland are protected. Denali National Park. The U.S. National Park System, established in 1912, includes 59 major national parks, sometimes called the country crown jewels, along with 339 monument and historic sites. Case study stresses on U.S. public park. Biggest problem may be popularity. Between 1960 and 2012, the number of visitors to U.S. national parks more than tripled. Noisy and polluting dirt bikes, dune buggies, jet skis, snowmobile, and other off-road vehicles destroy damage fragile vegetation, disturb wildlife, and degrade native species. Some of them threatened or endangered are killed in or illegally removed from almost half of all U.S. Migration or deliberate introduction of non-native species also damage parks. Example: European wild boars introduced for hunting in 1912 threatened the vegetation in parts of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Non-native mountain goats in Washington State's Olympic National Park trample and destroy the root system of native vegetation and accelerate soil erosion. Case study: Stresses on U.S. public parks. Part 2: Additional threats to national parks. Our parks have also become threatened islands of biodiversity, surrounded by a sea of commercial development. Nearby human activity threaten the wildlife and recreational value of parks. Air pollution, acid rain, water diversion. Estimated that national parks have an $8 to $9 billion backlog for long overdue maintenance. Science focus: Reintroducing the gray wolf to Yellowstone National Park. Removed species sometimes need to be reintroduced to national park for natural habitat restoration. Example: Scientists discovered that the gray wolf was a keystone species essential for the health of Yellowstone National Parks. Solution: National Parks. Seek private donation for park maintenance and repairs. Limit the number of visitors in crowded park areas. Increase the number of park rangers and their pay. Encourage volunteers to give visitor lectures and tours. Integrate plans managing park and nearby federal land and new park land near threatened park. Buy private land inside parks. Locate visitor parking outside parks and provide shuttle buses for people touring heavily used parks. Increase federal funds for parks maintenance and repair. Raise entry fees for visitors and use resulting funds for parks management and maintenance.
Nature reserve occupation. Only 30% of the earth and area was protected either strictly or partly in more than 177,000 wildlife refuge, nature reserves, parks, and wilderness areas. The 30% is very misleading because only about 6% of the earth land is the strictly protected from potentially harmful human activities. That's mean that 95% of the earth land for human use. Protect land. Conservation biologists biologics call for full protection of at least 20% of the Earth land area in a global system of biodiversity service that would include multiple examples of the Earth biomes. Designing and connecting nature reserves. Largest reserves sustain more species and provide greater habitat diversity than small reserves, also minimize exposure to natural disturbance, invading species, and human disturbance from nearby developed areas. This is especially true in the tropical rainforest areas, where species diversity is extremely high. Stud- studies of the other local, however, indicate that several medium-sized reserves may be better protect a broader range of habitats. When possible, scientists call for using the buffer zone concept to design and manage nature reserves. Designing and connecting nature reserves. This means strictly protecting an inner core of the reserve and creating surrounding buffer zone where local can use resources sustainable. So far, the UN has created 553 biosphere reserves best with this method. It is also recommended to it is also recommended to establish habitats corridors between isolate reserves to allow migration for species that need large range. Costa Rica Global Conservation Letter. Costa Rica is a superpower of biodiversity, above 50,000 plants and animals species parks and reserves, and consolidate into 8 zone managed reserves. Each reserve contains protected inner core surrounded by 2 buffer zone to local and indigenous people can use. Solution: Costa Rica Parks and Reserves 8 Managers Service. Costa Rica, similar than West Virginia but is biodiversity superpower, home for more bird species than found in all of Nature America. Required is the important way to preserve biodiversity. One way to protect underdeveloped land for human explanation is to set them aside of the wilderness. Wilderness Act to 1964 also government to protect undeveloped public land. Home to more bird species than found in all North America. Either managed service. Lands then great highlight level to protecting from human activities. Protecting wilderness areas in the equivalent in the investing in the biodiversity insurance policy for everyone.
Protecting wilderness is the important way to preserve biodiversity. The Wilderness Act is controversial because it currently protects only 4.7% of U.S. lands. Three-fourths of this land is in Alaska. Is the lower 48 state. Only 4 areas are large enough to sustain the species. They contain great possession from oil, gas, mining, and timber companies.